for Reliance Capital. If I'm not wrong, it would be highest, the price that you've seen for really a long time on Reliance Capital. Ruchit Jain from Angel Broking is now joining us. Ruchit, let's start with Reliance Capital, 8% higher now.
Yes, good afternoon, Pankaj. Definitely, it's just a continuation of the entire uptrend which we have been witnessing in this stock since last couple of months. Now, what has been going on in the markets after this Monday's gap up, Tuesday's gap up opening, those stocks which have outperformed the broader indices in last 1.5 months, we are seeing those stocks again picking up momentum, and they are showing some very good movement along with good volumes. So Reliance Infra, Reliance Capital, these were a couple of the stocks which had showed very good outperformance vis-a-vis the mid cap index since in last 1.5 months. So that's what we are witnessing now. The breakouts, the breakouts which were already happened earlier. This is just a continuation rally. Even if you observe the volumes on the cash charts as well, the volumes are significantly higher in today's trading session, which which is a quite positive sign, and it's an indication that this uptrend might continue or should continue. In fact, on further on the higher side, and about 630, 632 is where the next resistance is seen. So I think this stock should rally another 5% from current levels also.
Right, Reliance Infra is also looking strong. It's just started to up move. It's not as high as Reliance Capital, but it's up about 3% right now.
Yes, even this is looking strong, and on the high side, the stock could test around 620, 625 odd zone. In fact, even we have seen good volumes coming in today's trading session in Reliance Infra too. I think both the stocks are looking quite positive, and another 5 to 6% up move should be seen.
Right. Can you talk to us about Nifty as well? It's also at the day's high and a life high.
Yes, Pankaj, earlier also when we were discussing about Nifty, this is just a continuation of the trend which we have seen since last 2.5 months. Now, what has been observed that in the entire last 2 months after 8100, Nifty has not breached its 20 days of exponential moving average. And whatever corrections have come in, they were time-wise a sidewise correction rather than price correction, which was a positive sign. Now, if you observe what has happened on Tuesday is that before Tuesday, Nifty had consolidated about 10 to 12 trading sessions, and with a gap up opening, that is a sign that the entire consolidation phase is over and the broader degree uptrend has been resumed. Now, whenever any stock or the index comes to all-time high level, the probability of the target would be reciprocal retracement of the previous corrective move, which is now coming somewhere around 9400 to 9600. So I think this uptrend should continue now without any meaningful correction. Tuesday's gap area would be a very strong support area as of now, and we can expect about 9400 to 96 coming in very short term.
Right, 9400 to 96, and what should be the stop loss for that?
Yes, so as I said, this gap area of Tuesday is a very strong support, which is around 8975 is the lower end of the gap area. So one can keep a stop loss below 8975 on all the long positions.
Right. In terms of ADAG stocks, do you have any picks over there? So we have RCom as well, Reliance Power as well. Do you like any of the names?
Both these names, as I also told, Reliance Capital and Reliance Infra, they both were on our buy list since last 1.5 months. We are still we still continue to be bullish on the stock, and further 5 to 6% higher should be seen. One should not go only by the names that all the stocks of the ADAG pack would participate. It's not necessary. Just see the stocks which have outperformed the broader indices since last 1.5 months. Those stocks would tend to continue moving higher in this rally. So not other stocks. RCom, we have not seen that good outperformance coming in. So I would definitely tend to avoid buying that stock. And one should not get carried away just because two of the stocks of ADAG group has performed, so all other stocks would perform as well. Continue to trade with the outperformers, and that's why avoid RCom and continue to stay long in Reliance Infra and Reliance Capital amongst the ADAG packs.
Right. As far as Reliance Industries is concerned, what is the outlook there? That's taken a back seat.
No, I think this is just a corrective part going on in this stock. We have seen significant up move post a breakout, which everyone knows that it's a 8-year high breakout which the stock had given. Now what has happened, the momentum readings are quite in the mega overbought zone, And generally, whenever such overbought momentum readings are seen, either there is a price-wise correction or a time-wise correction in such stocks, which then gives base formation for next leg of up move. So I don't think the stock has made any kind of top around current levels. It's just because of the overbought momentum reading setups, we can see some consolidation maybe for another 1 week or two. But once this consolidation phase is over, the trend would continue to remain positive. Any kind of minor declines also come if you get the stock around 1240, 1250 or zone. I think that would be a good buying opportunity again in the stock.
Right. As far as other Nifty names are concerned, let's start with Idea. Idea has also done well. What is your call on Idea?
Yes, from short-term perspective, definitely the stock is looking positive. Just because if you observe after the recent up move which had taken place from 60 to 120, this stock has consolidated, and within this consolidation, 101, 102 range has acted as a quite strong support. Even in yesterday's trading session, we saw the stock again bouncing back higher from this 101, 102 levels. The consolidation phase although might continue, but as the stock approaches the lower end of the support, which is around 102, the stock again is attracting good buying and good volumes is coming in around those levels. So I think any minor dips again around 102, 104 range would continue to attract buyers, and the stock would continue to trade in this broader range of 102 to 122.
Ruchit, just stay on with us. We're taking a break. We're coming back in 2 minutes. I want to discuss some more stocks on the other side. 68 points higher for the Nifty, 9,153 at a new high, 9153. The good thing is we are likely to close above the resistance, the third resistance for the Nifty, 9154. That's where the markets are right now. Ruchit Jain is still with us. Ruchit, just taking focus to the markets, 9500, 9600 as you told is possible. But now that we are in a new high, where do you think the next resistance zone is after that level? Can markets go to the level of 10,000, 10,500 over a period of time?
This Pankaj, see, whenever, as I earlier also told, whenever we see some new highs coming in the market or in any stocks, we usually come out with a target by taking reciprocal retracements of the previous corrective move. Now 94, 96, which I have told is coming around 141 to 161.8% retracement of that entire previous corrective move. But I think if we continue this up move, which is definitely on expected lines, and then I think on the higher side 10,500 is also possible in next 7 to 8 months of time frame. So one should take a one by one step at a time. Definitely this is a bull market, there's no doubt about that, because this up move or the new highs are not led by some of the heavyweights, but there's a broad market participation coming in the stock. So I think this bull market would continue on, and if anyone has a time frame of next 7 to 8 months, then 10,500 is quite possible to come in Nifty index.
Right, Syntex is right now above the 100 rupee level. What's your call on that name?
I think this high top high bottom structure on the daily charts is getting continued in this. Even the volumes in the recent past during the up moves have been good, and during the corrective moves have been low. So I think this stock should participate good from current levels, and we can expect levels of around 108 coming in the stock in the next 1 to 2 weeks time frame.
Right. In terms of some other names, let's talk about some names which generally don't attract a lot of attention. So Just Dial is up. It's one of the buzzing stocks right now. Any view on Just Dial?
Well, already the stock has continued its uptrend, so there is no sign of reversal still in the stock. Only the momentum readings are quite overbought. So I think getting in the stock at current levels, the risk reward ratio will not be that favorable. If anyone has already bought from at lower levels from a trading or holding perspective, then I think it's wise for them to continue holding with a stop loss below 536 or 535. But for such a big risk reward ratio is not that favorable if you get into the stock right now. So I won't advise to take a fresh entry into the stock, but existing shareholders can continue till there is no reversal sign in this.
Right, Siddharth Sadani is also now joining us. Siddharth, what's your call on the markets first, and then we can go to some stocks?
Good afternoon, Pankaj. Well, in terms of markets are concerned, markets are poised well at the current state because most of the events are out of the way, whether it's global or domestic in nature. I think the biggest event which is coming up is again earnings. I think markets will take up earnings seriously. Stock specific rewards will be there. So I would reckon that at the current state, I think one should get on to the stocks where we are getting sustainable growth. I think they may deliver a good number in Q4.
Right. In terms of Reliance Capital specifically, any view? It's up 9% now.
Of course, the analyst meet is of course around the corner, so I think it is creating some kind of excitement. Of course, there are a lot of restructuring in the business is happening. Although we don't have a coverage, but I think it's a good financial services company. Although would not able to give any kind of a rating on this, but I think the restructuring will definitely reap some benefits for the shareholders.
Right, but even if there is an analyst meet, why do you think the stock is so excited 10%? It could also be because of short covering?
So there is always a possibility. I think restructuring on top of it, higher debts on top of it, the management focus towards the business, all this had beaten down the stock. So now I think short covering also one of the reason. Apart from that, I think maybe because of the management promises and the management's commentary over the company, I think that is creating some kind of a positivity in the company.
Right. As far as some other Reliance Group companies are concerned, would you be interested in Reliance Infrastructure?
No, I think in the other Reliance all set of companies, I think Reliance Industry seems the best fit amongst all. On top of it, Real Geo, the kind of plans they have for next 2 to 3 years, and the kind of subscriber base addition they are talking about in the analyst meet. I think that is also something a welcome move. On top of it, the existing traditional business likes of petchem and refining. I think the capacities what they have added up in last 3 years, they would be taking the benefit of now in next 2 years. So of course, Reliance Industry, and of course after so many years of underperformance, the stock started performing.
Right. Ruchit, what's your call on the tire stocks? Any tire stocks that are looking interesting? Some of them have done very well in the last few days.
Yes, Pankaj, both the stocks within this tire space, I think MRF and C8 both are looking quite attractive. Although these stocks have already given a good momentum in last couple of days, but I think as far as broader trend for these stocks are concerned, we have seen a good consolidation phase in last 4 to 5 months, and after a consolidation phase, again the prices have started moving higher with good volumes. So I think these two would continue to outperform because just because MRF has been one of the outperformers within this sector, and C8 also has given a breakout from a falling trendline resistance. So if anyone has to look at the stocks within this space, C8 and MRF would be the two stocks where the outperformance would be.
Right. Siddharth, do you like tire stocks?
Yes, we are quite positive on the tire space. Of course, there is one news on rubber prices cooling off from the top. But apart from that, also there is because if you take up last 4 to 5 years in terms of tire companies growth, we've seen 8 to 10% growth. Whereas if you look at the Chinese dumping of tires in India in last 5 years, they have grown around 250 to 300%. So of course there is a consideration of anti-dumping duty of Chinese tires, and because of that, the bus and radial tires are bulk in nature. So JK tire in our domestic space looks very attractive because the majority of the chunk comes from bus and radial tires. Where if anti-dumping duty comes in place, I think would be handy for the company. Along with that, in terms of valuations, it's inexpensive to its peers. The most cheapest stock amongst the peers, I think JK Tire looks very interesting. In terms of pecking order, JK Tire would be number one. The number two company would be CEAT.
What's your call on Hindustan Zinc?
Well, in terms of metals are concerned, we believe that non-ferrous space looks very attractive on the back of the kind of capacity cut has been seen in China, which is again a recent news. Apart from that, what we believe is the biggest consumer is cutting the capacity. I think for the time being, at least maybe for 2 quarters, I think metal space also looks quite interesting. But once the capacities are cut, I think the consumption also will come down in China. So sluggishness will be seen end of the year, but at least for next 2 quarters, metal space looks quite interesting. Although we don't have a coverage on any of the stocks, so would not able to recommend a particular stock.
Ruchit, what's your call on Hindustan Zinc?
The chart structure is quite positive in this stock because we have seen on the broader higher degree charts the high top high bottom formation is there. Secondly, Pankaj, if we observe this stock, then since this uptrend has started from the month of February 2016, that is almost more than a year now. All the corrective moves whenever they have come within this uptrend, 89 EMA on the daily charts has acted as a very strong support. Recently we have seen a good correction coming which came in the stock where the stock corrected from 335 to almost 280 285 range. Again this stock has taken support around 89 EMA on the daily charts, which has not been breached since last 1 year. So I think till this 89 EMA till the prices hold on above this moving average, I think this uptrend would continue, and in short term I won't be surprised if again the stock rallies another 10% and reaches its recent highs of 330 levels.
Right. Ruchit, PC Jewelers is up 8%. 8% move today for PC Jewelers. Any call on that name?
This is a breakout after a consolidation phase. We have seen a good consolidation in the stock of 1.5 months, and the one thing is worth looking on the charts is that volumes in today's trading session is quite significantly higher than usually what we see on daily basis in the stock. So I think the stock should show some more pullback moves up to 440 445 levels. Already I think the risk reward ratio is not favorable to get in now into the stock, but any corrective dip if we get in tomorrow's trading session around, if the stock comes around 405 410 range, then one should create long position keeping stop loss below 385 for target around 440 to 445.
Right. What will be your call on Hindalco, Ruchit? 199, closer to the 200 mark where it did during the QIP where it went to 200?
So the chart structure is still positive on Hindalco as well. In fact, all the metal stocks, most of the large cap metal stocks we have seen in today's trading session have again resumed their broader degree uptrend after a consolidation phase. So I think the stock would rally high towards 205, 206 in next 1 week's of time frame.
Right. Siddharth, first a call on the jewelry names, PC Jeweler, Titan, anything you like?
I think Gitanjali Gems is coming out with again as one of the companies with IPO. I think that is why all the stocks are buzzing. But I think in the jewelry space we don't have any particular coverage. But I would still stick my neck out and would say that if someone wants to look out for these companies, I think in terms of branded space, I think Titan is only the one which deserves the attention. Apart from that, all these companies are more of news than event rhetorics.
Right. As far as jewelry stocks are concerned, do you think that they have not done very well and that's why they are playing a catch-up role also to the market?
See, there is always a possibility of that sort, and especially in the jewelry space, there are more mid caps in nature kind of a stock. So, of course, that will be the case altogether. But if you talk about the fundamentals are concerned, I think not much is there to see in this space, and I don't think one should keep in the portfolio. If someone wants to trade it out, I think that's okay.
Right. Siddharth, any other picks that you have?
See, we believe that in terms of GST coming in place, we believe that some of the organized players in the plyboard segment, likes of Century Plyboard, looks very interesting. As we know, the recent elections have gained that the GST implementation can be seamless in nature. So because of that, what we believe is Century Plyboard, which is again a strong player in laminates and have grown, volume growth has been seen around 17% for laminates in this quarter. I think this company looks very good. The volume growth will be rising going forward. On top of it, the capacity expansion is also there. Allocation of housing for all is one of the factors. Monsoons can be also one of the factors where it can see improved demand. So Century Plyboard looks very interesting. The other stock which I would like to discuss is KEI Industries. We believe in the cable space. I think KEI Industries has been doing good. Debts are coming down. Not much of a capex is lined up. I think margins are improving. KEI Industries in the engineering space looks very attractive.
Right, I'll just come back to both of you. 70 points higher for the Nifty, 9,154. A record high closing. That's what is the market's likely to do. First time ever about 9,100. So first time ever about 9,150 as well. Sensex about 100 points away from an all-time high closing. Otherwise, it's about, almost 450 points away from its all-time high. Adani Ports was the top gainer, 4.8% higher. Axis Bank was up 0.2%, 513. Tech Mahindra flat with a positive bias, and Tata Power was 86.87 rupees. Reliance Industries absolutely flat today. There is a marginal negative bias over there. Infosys up 1.6%, 1,029 for Infosys. NTPC was up around 1.7%. That's at 161. Sun Pharma 4 rupees higher. That's close to 710. Bharti Airtel absolutely flat. Aurobindo Pharma was up 1.3%, and Tata Motors DVR was also flat with a positive bias, about 2% higher for Tata Motors DVR. That's the closing bell for you. So markets have shot at a record close, 9156. Even if you adjust 5 points here and there, it's still a very good close. It's still a record close for the markets. Adani Ports, I think, was the top gainer, 4.8% higher. 325 for Adani Ports, 7 million shares traded. Very, very strong move for this name. Since morning, actually, this name was looking good. And towards the end, actually, it just consolidated towards a better close. So 325 for Adani Ports, that's about 7 million shares traded. Tata Steel, 4.5% higher, 500 rupees towards close, 10 million shares traded. Again, it's a name which has done very well and continues to do so. Hindalco did well. Tata Motors DVR did well. So these were some of the other gainers. We can look at Hindalco closer to 200 rupees. Tata Motors DVR, that's around 2.5 rupees, 2.5% higher. Bajaj Auto is up close to 2.3%. That's around 2,936. And IndusInd Bank and Asian Paints were some of the other gainers. Not much in terms of losers. So let's just straight away go to the broader market space and what's happening over there. So Reliance Capital analyst meet today at 5 p.m. We'll get you the details tomorrow morning. 10% higher ahead of the analyst meet. Very strong move coming in for that name. Suzlon up 8%, 18 rupees 40 paisa for Suzlon. Again, that's a name that has done very well, continues to do so. Dredging Corporation of India was up a full 20%, up a circuit for Dredging Corporation of India. There you go, 20% higher, 2.7 million shares traded. Jindal Polyfilms was up 20%. Since morning, it was up about 20%. PC Jewelers up close to 7.8, 7.9%. There you can see the flashes at the bottom of your screen. Nifty has closed at a record high. It closes at the record high, closes about 9,100. Day before yesterday, it closed about 9,000, which was the first time ever. Now it's closed at 9,150, which is also, a first time ever in terms of a number. Bank Nifty has closed at a high. Be it Nifty Mid Cap has also closed at a high. Overall, a very good closing for the market. Ruchit, what's your call on the Nifty now, considering markets have closed here? Nothing much changes?
Yes, definitely nothing much changes. The uptrend still continues, and in fact we have seen another gap up opening today, and which has not been filled. So that's quite a positive sign. So I think one should continue to trade with positive bias and can expect levels around 9,400 first and then 9,600 in very short span of time.
Right, Siddharth, we spoke your view about the market, but markets closing at a record high always tend to attract a lot of flows. So do you expect flows to come in? I mean, when markets go up, they just go up.
Of course, Pankaj, because in the short-term perspective, liquidity and the sentiments both work out very well. Of course, earnings is something which we are lacking. I think if Q4 earnings comes in place, I think that will be also justifying the valuations. Valuation seems little stretched in nature, but I think if earnings justify it, I think it will be well stacked up. Currently, liquidity is quite strong because last 6 months, barring few days in this month, I think FI was net sellers, and because of also one of the reason that we're seeing appreciation in rupee, that FI is gushing into the markets where they're seeing there is a lot of reforms to come in place and there is stability in the market. So I think yes, liquidity is playing a big factor.
Right, Ruchit, what's your call on BEL? It went ex-split today. Is it possible for you to give us the levels?
Yes, but the overall chart structure looks quite attractive in this stock. Even after today's split, we have seen the stock has attracted a lot of volumes after post opening. So I think this higher degree uptrend would continue, and we can see levels coming in around 179, 180 again in the stock. So usually when the stocks are trading at all-time high level and we see such kind of volumes coming in, so that's quite a positive sign that even at the all-time high levels, a lot of buyers are getting attracted in such stocks. So I think this uptrend would continue, and we should see levels around 160, 179, 180 in very short term.
Right. Siddharth, do you look at Bharat Electronics?
Again, the only company which is completely focused towards defense. Of course, we had a coverage on that and we had achieved our targets also. But we still believe there is a lot of scope in this company to get in. I think this year's order book was expected around 10 to 11,000 crore. I think next year's run rate should be also the same. And it's a pure defense play altogether in terms of defense is concerned. The kind of initiatives government has taken is evident to all. So Bharat Electronics, definitely it's a good play with a medium to long term perspective, although stock has stretched a lot in last 6 months. So if any dip is there, I think that would be a great accumulation strategy.
Thank you so much, gentlemen, for taking out time for us. Always good to get a perspective from you. We have the adjusted close as well, 9,153. Again, that's a record level in terms of closing. Mid-cap index up 1.6. Very, very strong move for mid-cap index. Strong move for Bank Nifty as well as the Nifty, which closed at a record high, 9153, and also closed at the day's highest point. Taking a break, coming back in 2 minutes.